My name is Mona, and that's my fiancé, Richard. We had been engaged for 2 years and were preparing to get married. This is my best friend, Rita, who is known and loved by my whole family, including my grandmother and my grandfather. She was helping me with the wedding preparation. We could say she was almost like my wedding planner. I was very grateful for her help. We had been best friends since high school. I was so excited I was going to get married to Richard, the love of my life. It was like a dream come true. As the wedding date drew closer, however, I started noticing that Richard was beginning to behave coldly towards me. He no longer gave me his usual hugs or kisses, didn't seem excited to see me when I visited him, and never seemed available for our usual dates. When I spoke to him about my concerns, he assured me that everything was okay and that he still loved me deeply. I was happy, but my happiness lasted only for a while. Because 2 months to our wedding, Richard suggested that we postpone it to the following year. He couldn't give me any tangible reason for his suggestion. And since I couldn't convince him to change his mind, I agreed to his suggestion. One Friday evening, I decided to take myself out for dinner at a fancy restaurant. And guess who I saw having dinner together? It was Richard and Rita. As soon as I saw them, I took a few steps back and took a picture of them and left to another restaurant. I made sure they didn't see me. As soon as I got home later that evening, I called Richard to find out where he was. He told me he was out with some friends. I then called Rita to ask if I could come for a sleepover, and she told me that she was at her mom's house. The next day, Rita came to visit me at my apartment whilst I was cooking. Rita had her back turned towards me while on a call, and I was cutting some tomatoes. I wasn't going to hurt her. I saw something on her dress which I wanted to get rid of, but she got startled and started sweating. Yeah, you could say her guilty conscience was catching up with her. It was as if she was afraid I would do something to her. I then confronted her with the picture evidence I took from the previous night and warned her to stay away from Richard and I. She was so embarrassed and agreed to do so. However, things between Richard and I never improved, and we ended up going our separate ways. Although I knew we still loved each other deeply, something was just keeping Richard from making a commitment, and I was sure that was Rita. I was so bitter and heartbroken that I decided to plan the perfect revenge to keep Richard and Rita apart. I hired a good-looking man by the name Cedric. I asked him to lure Rita into having a few romantic dates with him. This plan worked, and Cedric took lots of pictures of them kissing and in other compromising positions. I kept these pictures for about 3 years until I heard that Rita was getting married to Richard. And then I released the photos anonymously to Richard. A few days later, there was a knock on my door. And you guessed right. Yes, it was Richard. He was so heartbroken. He told me about how Rita had cheated on him with several guys on different occasions, and he was already planning to call off their wedding when he received the photos of Rita and Cedric kissing. I asked him if he confronted Rita and asked her for an explanation, but he said he didn't. He didn't think it would be of any use since he was already deciding not to go on with the wedding when the photos surfaced. Additionally, he said he was sure that Rita would deny it just as he denied knowing the other guys he cheated on with and claimed that she was being framed. All our circle of friends also got to know what Rita had done and why the wedding was called off, even though it was not part of my plan. Yes, the pictures spread like wildfire, more than I imagined it would. Now, as I talk to you, Richard and I have been like best of friends. It's like we never had any issues and never got separated. We talk every day, go out on every weekend. Our bond is stronger than ever. We are getting married in a few weeks. But somehow I feel so guilty about what I did to Rita. I have even had a few nightmares about it. I am torn between telling Richard the truth. I wish I could tell Richard what I did. I'm torn between doing that or taking my secret to my grave. On one hand, I think he would understand and forgive me. On the other hand, I think I could lose him again, and I can't afford to lose him for a second time. I wish I knew that he was suspecting Rita of cheating on him. I wouldn't have released those photos. I wish I knew he was already planning to break off his engagement with Rita. But the harm is already done. What would you do if you were in my shoes? I'm so confused. Should I tell Richard the truth and free my mind? Share your thoughts with me in the comment section, and I promise to follow your advice and come back to tell you if it helped. Thank you.